Walking out of that hotel in São Paulo on Friday, September 5th is a moment etched in my memory forever because the energy outside those doors was like nothing I had ever felt before. A tidal wave of sound and flashing lights, hundreds of reporters jostling for position, fans pressed against barriers with banners, jerseys, and phones raised high, and the instant I stepped through with my teammates, the noise hit me like an explosion. A wall, wasn't just in Brazil for a football game. I was stepping into a piece of history, carrying not only the Kansas City Chiefs name, but also this whirlwind that comes with being Travis Kelce in 2025. A man whose life suddenly isn't just about routes and touchdowns, but about headlines, cameras, and the constant hum of Taylor Swift's world colliding with mine. I could feel the eyes on me, the lenses trying to capture every movement as I rolled my suitcase behind me, wearing that black suit with the faint shine under the hot morning sun. And I'll admit, it felt surreal, like for a second I wasn't just an athlete, I was a performer walking onto a stage. Patrick Mahomes was right by my side, his steady confidence radiating like it always does, the kind of presence that calms the chaos around us. And behind us came Chris Jones, Clyde, McCole, and the rest of the squad, each of us dressed sharp, each of us walking with that same balance of swagger and focus that comes before a big game. The buses were lined up at the curb, massive, painted in Chiefs red with our logo blazing on the side, looking less like team transportation and more like a traveling army ready to take on South America. Security was everywhere, forming a tight shield around us, but even that didn't stop the fans from leaning over, stretching out, begging for a high five or a quick autograph. And though the plan was to move fast, I couldn't help myself. I slowed for just a second, reached my hand out and slapped palms with a couple of kids who had Chiefs face paint and eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning. Because moments like that remind me why we play the C. The phones immediately caught it, and within minutes I'd hear that the videos had gone viral online. Fans calling me everything from a rock star to the people's tight end. But in that moment, all I really felt was joy. The kind of joy that comes from connecting across cultures, across languages, with nothing but a smile and a gesture. But then, the atmosphere shifted again, because just as people were catching their breath from seeing us, the lobby doors opened and in walked Taylor, my Taylor. In that silver dress that shimmered like the sunlight had chosen her as its mirror, her hair tied back with effortless grace, and suddenly the crowd went absolutely insane. Screams rising to a pitch I didn't think was possible, reporters shouting her name louder than mine, fans crying as they phones, reporters shouting her name louder than mine, fans crying as they Roman friends at the photos, every little instructions, riots, scrawled in Portuguese, and I couldn't help but grin like a kid because in that moment, it didn't matter if I was a Super Bowl champion or not. I was the guy lucky enough to hold her hand later on and call her my fiancé. She moved quickly, her security detail tight around her, but she still gave those little waves that make people feel like she's looking right at them. And next to her, like the perfect anchor of family, was my big brother, Jason, rocking his hoodie and sweatpants like the king of comfort, smiling and waving like he was already in mid-podcast mode. Seeing him there alongside Taylor, the two people who ground me the most in this crazy life, made my chest swell with something bigger than nerves, bigger than game day adrenaline. It was pride, it was love, it was the deep realization that I wasn't just walking into this game as a player, I was walking in as a son, a brother, a fiancé, and a man, lucky enough to have his family and his future together in one place. Jason cracked a joke as we passed, something about how the Brazilian fans cheered louder for Taylor than they ever had for me, and even though he meant it in fun, I knew there was truth there. Because the truth is, Taylor brings a kind of global light that amplifies everything around her, and having her by my side, along with Jason's constant brotherly support felt like I had all the momentum in the world before I even stepped on the bus. Fans were shouting her name, my name, our names together, chanting like it was a concert and a football game rolled into one. And I knew then that this wasn't just about Chiefs versus Chargers. This was about cultures colliding, about history being made, about the NFL planting its flag in Brazil with the kind of spectacle only moments like this could bring. As the buses pulled away, I glanced out the tinted window and saw them still there. Fans waving, some in Chiefs red, some in Taylor merch, some in Eagles gear because of Jason, all of them united in this wild, beautiful moment. And I thought to myself, football has always been my stage, but with Taylor, with Jason, with my team walking beside me, it feels like the world has become our stadium, and I couldn't wait to step into Arena Carré and over again. I'll never forget the feeling of that night in Sao Paulo, walking through the tunnel of Arena Corinthians with the roar of the crowd echoing like thunder above us, the heat of anticipation in the air, and then glancing down at my hand to see Taylor's fingers laced perfectly through mine, steady, warm, and strong, like an anchor holding me firm in the middle of the storm that is NFL game day. Usually before a big matchup like Chiefs versus Chargers, my mind is running at full speed, breaking down plays, visualizing routes, thinking about how to break down defenses, but that night something was different because instead of walking alone with headphones on and a hard face, I walked with Taylor, my fiance, right there beside me, and every step we took together felt like it meant something more than football. I could feel the cameras flashing, the buzzing of phones, reporters shouting, but honestly, all I really saw in that moment was her, walking tall and elegant in that minimalist outfit that somehow made her look even more radiant than all the flashing lights around us. It was surreal knowing that Taylor Swift, the biggest pop star on the planet, wasn't there as a celebrity, wasn't there as the superstar who sells out stadiums bigger than this one in minutes, but she was there as my partner, my support, my love, holding my hand as if to remind me that no matter how big the game felt, no matter how heavy the pressure was, I wasn't walking into it alone. The crowd outside the locker room tunnel was screaming her name, screaming mine, chanting, singing snippets of her songs mixed with football chants, and for a split second I thought, this must be what it feels like when two worlds collide. Sports and music, touchdowns and sold-out tours, pads and microphones merging into one moment that's bigger than either of us could create alone. As we got closer to the locker room doors, I felt a wave of pride. Not just because of what we've built together publicly, but because of what that simple handhold symbolized. Trust, unity, love, and the kind of partnership that's rare in the whirlwind of fame. Walking in with her, I could feel my teammates watching, and it wasn't awkward or distracting. It was energizing. Guys came up to me afterward and said, "Man, seeing you walk in with her like that, it fired us up." And that meant a lot because Taylor wasn't just my fiance in that moment. She was part of the team spirit, lifting not just me, but everyone around her. I remember Coach Reed grinning later and joking to the press, every time Taylor's here, Travis plays like he's got rocket fuel in his cleats. And honestly, he wasn't lying because the truth is when she's there, when I know she's in the building, there's another level of motivation in me. Like I want to give her something to cheer for, something to be proud of beyond the music she already dominates. Inside the locker room, the guys were buzzing, talking about how surreal it was to see Taylor Swift walking through the tunnel. How wild it felt to have one of the most famous people alive, not just in the stands, but in our space where the sweat, the nerves, and the raw energy live before a game. But for me, it wasn't surreal. It felt natural, like she belonged there, like she had become such a part of my journey that the locker room wasn't just mine anymore, it was ours. When I looked at her, there was no sign of nerves or discomfort. She was calm, supportive, and focused, almost like she was taking on the role of steadying me before I ran out into battle. That handhold may have looked simple to the world, but to me, it was the strongest sign of love I could ever carry into a game, a reminder that no matter how fierce the hits, no matter how loud the boos or cheers, I had someone in my corner whose faith in me never wavered. And let me tell you, when I stepped onto that field later, the sound of Brazil screaming, The sight of red flags waving and the knowledge that she was somewhere up there in the stands watching, it pushed me harder, made me run sharper, made me want to win not just for Kansas City, not just for the fans back home, but for her because love has a way of fueling you deeper than any adrenaline rush ever could. That night wasn't just about Chiefs versus Chargers. It wasn't just about standings or rankings. It was about walking into one of the biggest games of my career with the woman I love right beside me, reminding me that sometimes the strongest victories start long before the whistle blows, in the quiet, steady strength of holding hands and walking forward together.
But in addition to the heat from the fierce confrontation on the field, all eyes were on the VIP